Morning, Kingsley Community. Pastor Colleen Wehrman here, coming to you with another daily devotion for Monday morning, December 13th, 2021. And we are continuing through our book. This is backwards. The Heart That Grew Three Sizes. I forgot to change it. Anyway, we're talking about the Grinch, and we're talking about how he was stealing all the children's toys, but his theft was for his own sordid enjoyment. So the writer writes, unexpectedly, out pops little Cindy Lou Who, who greets him with a moral compass, like a moral compass, and asks, Santa, why are you taking our Christmas tree? It's an innocent and obvious question. Children tend to ask the kind of questions we grown-ups neglect or have forgotten how to ask, such as, if God is big enough to create the mountains, how can God also live in our hearts? As we age, sometimes it's as though our vision becomes increasingly narrow. We often grow into a particular worldview and live by assumptions according to the way we think things should be and how they can be explained. In a way, we develop blind spots as if our peripheral vision disappeared with our childhood. In what ways do you struggle with the desire to always be in control? Anybody? How does it make you feel to know that the future is unknown, that you can't ever know what's truly going on inside someone else's head, or that we can't always see how God is working everything out? How do we tend to react when faced with those realities? Do you get stressed? Do you get angry? Do you get grinchy? So it tells us to read Matthew 7, verse 4. What does this verse command us to do? I don't know. Let me look up Matthew 7, verse 4. You'd think the guy would put it in the book. It's only one verse. Matthew 7. Oh, judging others. Okay. Verse 4 says, how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? So the question is, what does this verse command us to do? Take the plank out of our own eye before we start picking out, things we don't like about other people. And how does it apply to our faith life and in what interaction and in our interactions with others? Well, when we meet, our job, even Jesus' job was not to condemn the world, but to save the world. So I don't think it's our job to judge the world. So when we meet people and there's something we don't like about them or we think they shouldn't be doing. Now, remember, if they're an unbeliever, that's not our job to tell them what they're doing wrong. It's our job to point them to Christ. If they're another fellow believer that you know well and have a relationship with, then you can, have a conversation out of love and maybe, talk to them about, why are they acting this way? Or is there something wrong that you're, doing something? But that's got to be a pretty tight relationship. So church people don't just walk up to other church people and start telling them what you think about them. That doesn't go over well. So if the Grinch had taken a moment to consider Cindy's question, why are you taking our tree away? He may have realized one of his own blind spots. He may have understood that maybe he wasn't seeing everything clearly. We have blind spots. We don't see everything as clearly as maybe we should. Lots of lenses affect the way we understand the world. And so we can't always trust that we see things the way they are or the way God intends us to see. That's why God sent Jesus. The Christmas mystery is that Jesus was fully divine and fully human. Though Jesus was fully human, how did his humanity ultimately differ from ours? And he was without sin. What did Jesus' humanity allow him to do? He allowed him to sympathize with our weaknesses. He allowed him to sympathize with our pains and our uncertainty and our anger and our fear about tomorrow. How does knowing this about Jesus encourage you to trust him and his commands? So if Jesus can sympathize, not empathize, sympathize, meaning he's already done it. He's been there. He's lost loved ones. He knows what it's like to feel abandoned by God, even though God never left his side and he never leaves our side. That's what Emmanuel's all about, God with us. But he knows what it's like to lose John the Baptist, his cousin, to King Herod's whim. And he knows what it's like to, Lazarus, a good friend of his, passed away. Now, he brought him back to life, but he died. And that's the shortest verse in the Bible. Jesus wept. So how do you have blind spots? What are some blind spots that you have? Is it expected traditions that need to happen every year a certain way? Is it that you're looking at Christmas, through the eyes of stress-filled family expectations? Do you have to buy everything you can buy for your family so that they look like they can keep up with the Joneses, so they can tell all their friends at school, I got a new snowboard, or I got a new, I don't know, car? People give the most ridiculous things, don't they? A car? Really? Make the kid earn the car. But that's your business. But I think that we need to know why we have these blind spots. And the blind spot would be that when we give people gifts, we expect some kind of adoration back. Well, remember that the gift that Christ gave with his life, he didn't expect us to give anything back. He just expects us to believe and to have faith in him and to trust. So I'm hoping that this year you will look at Christmas maybe a little differently, realize that we all have blind spots, and how we can get through those blind spots, whether it's expecting God to do things and then he doesn't do it. We don't know how to deal with that. God answers prayer 3 ways: yes, no, and wait. So sometimes it's a no. Sometimes the loved one doesn't get healed physically, but they get healed spiritually. Sometimes there's reconciliation that happens in the midst of, people on their, last days of life, from an estranged son or daughter who, couldn't get along with dad because of whatever reason. And, as dad is, got a few days to live, out comes that I'm sorry, and reconciliation happens. And I think the biggest thing we need to remember at Christmas is, the reason Jesus came is so he could be with us. And he knows what it's like to feel all the emotions we feel at Christmas or any other day. And he doesn't go anywhere. He doesn't leave us. He never left the Israelites back in the Old Testament, which is what I talked about this Sunday. Even when they were in exile, even when they were slaves in Egypt and in Babylon, he never left their side. He never, his presence was always with them. And so we need to remember that. That's what Emmanuel means, God with us. That means God's presence is with us all the time. So take a look at some of the blind spots maybe you're having this Christmas season, that you expect things to happen a certain way, or you expect God to answer a certain way, and when it doesn't, how do you react? Maybe look at it through the eyes of little Cindy Lou who innocently asked the question, why are you taking our tree? Ask God, why is this happening? And you will feel the presence of God. You may not always get the answer you want, but he will give you peace. So I'm hoping this was helpful for you today. I hope you got to see all my animals. Where's my fat kitty? Kitty? Who's fat? Kitty? You fat? All he does is scream for food all the time. Anybody got a fat cat? So I got him an automatic feeder, and he still screams for food. And I'm like, your feeder, you can eat anytime you want. He's got us trained well. Kitty, come here. Well, come here. Bush. Come here. Come here. Nobody wants to get off the couch. You ever have one of those days? Nobody wants to get off the couch. So I hope you're having a good day. So remember that sometimes we have blind spots when it comes to traditions or just expectations. We want God to answer a certain way in a situation, especially in dire situations, especially in health situations. Those can be very difficult. But know that God answers yes, no, and maybe. Or yes, no, and wait, not maybe. God doesn't answer maybe. Yes, no, or wait. And sometimes we got to wait to see the answer. So, but know that God is with us in the waiting. And that is what Christmas is all about. Emmanuel, God with us. And he knows what you're going through. So talk to him. Let him show you where your blind spots are, and then let him fill those blind spots with light so you can see clearly that God's with you. So have a good day. I guess I'll go feed my cat again.